Godzilla is a 2014 movie directed by Gareth Edwards and starring a surprisingly high-quality cast, including Aaron Taylor Johnson, Elizabeth Olsen, Bryan Cranston, Ken Watanabe, Juliette Binoche, and Godzilla as himself. Yes, they actually hired the real Godzilla to play in this movie. The plot is quite convoluted and doesn't really involve Godzilla until the second half of the movie, but has the merit of at least making some kind of sense. In 1999, scientists from a secret organization known as Monarch discovered two giant eggs in a uranium mine in the Philippines. One of these eggs just hatched, while the other lays dormant. Not far from there, Joe Brody manages a Japanese nuclear power plant with his son Ford and his wife Sandra. The plant suddenly experiences seismic activity and is forced to evacuate after a breach in the reactor that kills Sandra in front of Joe. The area is declared radioactive and immediately evacuated and quarantined. Fast forward 15 years to 2014, and we find Ford Brody coming back from an army tour to his wife Elle and his son Sam, which is strange since he was basically 10 in 1999, but somehow also has a 10-year-old kid in 2014. Ford gets a call from the police in Japan and has to go free his father, who was caught trespassing in the quarantined zone near the nuclear plant. His father thanks him by vomiting conspiracy theories, which of course convinces Ford to go investigate a forbidden radioactive plant because that's what normal people do. Upon arrival, they realize that the area isn't actually radioactive but get caught by the military. The military of course decides to bring them in the nuclear plant, revealing that it is occupied by an ominous cocoon feeding off the radiations there. Joe tries to warn the scientists that something bad is about to happen, and of course something bad happens as the cocoon decides to hatch to further the plot along. A weird winged mantis comes out of there and easily flies away from the containment structure because, yes, 15 years wasn't enough to build a damn net above the obviously insect-looking cocoon. Ford's father, having fulfilled his role as a plot starter, can now safely die and has a crane falling on him or something. Ford witnesses his father's death and grieves for about 5 seconds. He then meets with the military and Monarch scientist Serizawa for a debrief where the creature is dubbed Muto. He also learns that, yeah, there's a giant lizard going around and explains that his daddy told him the Muto was likely communicating with something. After learning top-secret knowledge, Ford is sent to Hawaii to fly back home to San Francisco. I guess he pinky sweared he wouldn't leak this classified information. But of course, Ford is the protagonist, so the plot follows him, and the Muto appears in Hawaii too, just snacking on some nuclear submarines. Godzilla immediately responds by landing in Honolulu to fight off the Muto, creating a tsunami in the process. And that's really weird, as he never causes tsunamis anywhere else after this, so he must just really hate Hawaii. Poor lizard probably found out about Hawaiian pizza and wanted to save the world from such culinary destruction. The Muto and Godzilla have a quick encounter, and I really can't stand calling it Muto anymore, so the winged mantis thing is hereby dubbed Fred. Fred flees Godzilla by casually flying away. Suck it, lizard, evolution is stronger than you. The top mind scientists then figure out that, maybe, Fred was calling to the second egg they found dormant back in 1999 and go check on it. Surprisingly, this egg also hatched and a second Muto has appeared. It appears to be a female Muto, so we'll name her Sophie. Of course, Sophie and Fred, having just emerged from a very long nap, are now compelled by the power of horny and decide to meet up later for some radiation and chill. The military, in all its genius, decides to lure them away from San Francisco by using a nuclear warhead as bait, which of course they decide to send by train. By fucking train. Ford joins the convoy, which obviously gets attacked by Sophie, but they manage to save one nuke and move it by air to draw the monsters in the ocean. So yeah, basically everyone converges to San Francisco because you can't have a big monster movie where you don't destroy the Golden Bridge. And as expected, Godzilla destroys the Golden Bridge. The Mutos go about their lives, eating nukes and laying eggs in Chinatown. The city is pretty much completely wrecked, and now we also have an armed nuclear bomb in the middle of San Francisco. The military doesn't really like that and sends soldiers, including Ford, to disarm it. While Godzilla is busy bonking horny Fred and Sophie, Ford destroys Sophie's eggs, distracting her. Godzilla seizes the opportunity to smash Fred into a spike. Ford takes the nuclear warhead on a boat to save the city. Godzilla protects him by catching Sophie and vomiting nuclear energy in her mouth, and a helicopter rescues Ford while Godzilla collapses from exhaustion. The city is saved, Ford finds his wife and kid, and of course Godzilla awakens and disappears in the sea. Strangely, the news reports describe Godzilla as a savior, even though he clearly didn't give a shit about humans and is responsible for a good third of San Francisco's destruction. The end. This movie teaches us 3 important lessons. 1. If you have a dormant monster feeding off radiations in an abandoned nuclear power plant, you should probably do something about it. 2. Mutos really want to bang sometimes. 3. The military is fucking stupid. But is Godzilla a good movie? I have no idea, but it has a giant lizard with nuclear lasers and big insect monsters that fight the giant lizard, so I like it. The human characters are forgettable at best, but that's not why I was there anyway. The story was quite convoluted, and the Titans fighting scenes were too few, but the movie has its cool moments with visually pleasing shots, such as the parachute scene. It also kickstarted the Legendary Monsterverse, which I guess is a good thing for monster movie fans. Overall, I give Godzilla a rating of 2 horny mutos out of 2.